Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video. Today I'll be explaining the history of the European Union. After the First World War, nobody would think of a war again, although World War II happened. After World War II, people said something had to change. A world war like this could never happen again. A man named Winston Churchill came with the idea. He said, let's create a United States of Europe. The Schuman Declaration in 1950 was the first step to this union. It stated a plan to combine Europe politically and economically. This started with the coal and steel industries. Why? Because coal and steel were the basics of the war, because countries needed them to build guns and tanks, etc. Equalizing this caused there to be a tie in war production, and this made war impossible. This treaty would be needed to be signed between the two biggest rivals, Germany and France. And so, together with 4 other countries, Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg, the Treaty of Paris got signed in 1951. This treaty would make the beginning of the European Union, at the time called the European Coal and Steel Community. The advantages of the coal and steel community, also called the ECSC, were that it reduced tariffs of coal and steel and increased the trade of these goods between the member countries. Next to that, it created over 100,000 new jobs. Years later, in 1957, the coal and steel community became outdated, and the cooperating countries came with 2 new ideas. France wanted to create an atomic energy community so that the countries could generate nuclear energy together for its citizens. Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands wanted a market where goods could easily be traded between the countries without border tariffs or border checks. Both ideas got integrated in 1957. The European Atomic Energy Community oversaw the nuclear energy market, and the European Economic Community, also known as the EEC, oversaw economic integration. The first goal of the EEC was that a common price level got created for agricultural goods, so that in every country the price for example, a French croissant is the same. Also, border taxes got removed. There was peace in the EEC, and it went economically well. But President Charles de Gaulle, the war hero and nationalist leader of France, thought that France was handing over too much power, so pulled out. Went out the EEC. This was a major problem because now the EEC had lost 1 vote. Because of this, the EEC made France retake its seat under a few new conditions. Now any country should be allowed to veto any plans if it was important on national interest, which means that if one country didn't agree with that country could veto the plan, meaning the plan will directly not be integrated, even if the majority voted in favor. It also created a common agriculture market, meaning that the EU set prices of fruits, vegetables, and sugars and cereals. The last condition was that the EEC had to ask permission for the topic which influences a certain country when decisions are made. Now there were 3 institutions: the ECSC, also known as the European Coal and Steel Community, the EEC, the European Economic Community, and the EAEC, the European Atomic Energy Community. after more than 15 years, it was time to merge these three institutions, these three communities. So the ECSC, the EEC, and the EAEC became the European communities. They had three goals: to expand to other countries, so more countries would join, create funds which help the border regions, and make it easier to travel between the countries. Other countries saw the European community countries grow economically and also wanted to join. In 1973, the UK, Spain, Ireland, Norway, and Denmark wanted to join. Spain wasn't allowed to because it was no democracy. And in the other countries were referendums held. Norway also didn't join because the majority of its citizens voted against joining the EC. The UK, Denmark, and Ireland did join. This meant that there were now 9 member countries instead of 6. In 1975, the EC developed a new institution, the European Regional Development Fund. Its purpose was to transfer money from the rich regions to the poorer regions. In 1981, Greece became a member of the EC. In 1985, Greenland became independent from the UK. This means that Greenland held a referendum for its citizens, but the majority voted against the EC, which meant that they didn't join the EC. Spain and Portugal were now democracies, meaning they were allowed to join the EC. And so they did. In 1986, they joined the EC. In 1985, the Schengen Agreement got signed. This was an agreement which stated that citizens of the EC member countries were allowed to move freely in between the countries. So they didn't need a passport or border checks to move to another country. Well, the last step to the European Union was made in 1992. Now there were free borders, etc., but in every country were different laws, which meant you had to know all of them to do business in multiple countries. This wasn't handy, and so the European Union developed. Now the European communities, the Common Foreign and Security Policy, and the police and judicial cooperation became one, the European Union. After the European Union had established, more countries joined. In 1955, Austria, Finland, and Sweden joined. In 2004, there were 10 more countries joining the EU. Cyprus, Czech, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Slovakia, and Slovenia. In 2007, Bulgaria and Romania joined, and in 2013, Croatia joined. Today, there are still discussions about 4 more countries to join. These countries are Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Turkey. Now, here we have it, the European Union, as it is today.